pages, but I rebuilt it from 1 to 6. Very frustrating, very hard, but I knew what the outcome was to look like. And so I forced myself to learn how I used to do it. Now it went from loading in 40 seconds to about 2 seconds, by the way. And the whole site was 40% smaller on 6.0. So to give you an idea, that I was getting 96 from the Google testing with my first two passes with Foundation 6. But I will say we got to do something with some of these swatches, or every once in a while I'll just try to do something which I think is right and of course is wrong.
Yeah.
And then I'll spend an hour, and then somebody will say it on one of the forums, because I go all 3, by the way. I look at all of them and like, oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. So,
yeah, that's, part of that's just a learning curve,
Yeah, no, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. No, you're not an idiot. I mean,
no.
And some people are running into the limitations of what's interesting is like they'll, because swatches, all that is, it's literally a UI for straight CSS, right? I essentially swatches, I built a complete user interface for directly coding CSS, and I was a little nervous at front. At first I was nervous about it, but I think it's a winner. I think it's really good, but people are starting to run into limitations of CSS and what like actual people that hand code stuff have to deal with, so it's interesting seeing people that are using swatches in Foundation 6 starting to run into conundrums that normal web developers run into every day, so it's a very interesting thing to see. And I like seeing that people that don't normally know how to code are kind of getting into that mindset as well. And I think all in all, that will make you a better web designer for it as well.
No, I agree. And I actually know how to use variables, because I do a little software stuff. So that wasn't a killer, but just how the padding once worked, how padding all the way around works, and just my inexperience. I mean, now I couldn't figure out how to use the alt text. You just type in alt. I mean, that was like one of those utility classes. You could write a little book on that. And I cannot tell you how many times, like what a container is. That's like fantastic. I threw it in a container. My wife was like, why is it all in that one little spot? I said, because I can control it. That one little container. And now I don't have to change the variables all the way across. And so she watches, she listens to you, by the way.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So she's a librarian. So it is kind of great. So anyway, I'll let somebody else chat. I just want to let you know that I'm
fancy mask there, Chris.
If I miss you, I normally watch it later. So.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I had to.
How are you, Chris?
I'm doing all right. I've been at work the last 3 days collecting all the student iPads and equipment. So yeah, I thought I'd hop on and say hi before another car comes up and I have to go out there. This is interesting. It's weird not being Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I just felt like doing something different today, and maybe give some people the chance.
No, that's cool. This is a good idea.
Let me, I need to put this in the chat. Some people are, because I am streaming this. So we're on Zoom, but I'm also streaming it to the YouTube channel. So, which is interesting. So 3 people are actually watching us over there. Cool. Anyone that's watching, if you want to join us on Zoom, just go to weavers.space/hangout. I'll put that link in the chat, and you can join in and start talking with us. And I'm happy to, go over anything. I'll probably, share my screen. I didn't really have too much of an agenda today. I just thought it was a good time. Yesterday, just watching everything on the news was just stressing me out. So I was just like, you know what? I just want to regroup today and maybe chit chat and have some fun with you guys. So yeah.
All I can say is the latest update to Foundation 6 has fixed like all the issues I've been having with anything. It's been good.
Oh yeah, sweet. What in particular? Just curious.
There was one where, so I had a light box where you click a button and a light box came down, and it was an off-site for a form fill for a Microsoft form. And on the home page, it just would not load that form, but other pages, it would load it just fine. So I couldn't figure out what on that home page was preventing the form from loading. But then once F6, the update came out, it just started working. So,
Interesting.
yeah, whatever.
Cool.
Yeah. And I haven't tried the wallpaper thing yet, but I will.
Yeah, that'll totally fix it. Yeah. You know, it's just stuff people, you know, sometimes people do stuff and you're like, oh, I never thought anyone would try that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's what the beauty of those Hangouts is, man. And it's just, yeah. Scott's here.
Susan, how are you?
I'm okay.
Excellent. Long time no see.
Well, I pop into the Hangouts now and then.
Yeah, every now and then. Exactly. Excellent.
Busy.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. What you been up to? Anything good? Any good projects?
Oh, I do campaign finance reporting for political candidates. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So, you know,
Nice.
And I've been quarantined. I'm a property manager and I've been quarantined since mid-March. So
yep, same here.
There's people.
And Butch, how are you? I'm glad we fixed your form issues. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. I remember that from way back in the day, having had that turned on for forms. Not anything to do with what you had, but way back. PHP
Okay.
For any kind of form you're doing. So I don't know why it didn't get turned on before.
That's okay. Cool. I'm just glad we fixed it. And the next update will have a little bit better checking to make sure that if there actually is an error on the server, it actually doesn't say the form submitted. Everything is good. And you're going, no, it's not. I didn't get an email.
Yeah, that was good.
So the reason was, and I did some research, and that's something that's always bothered me it's actually something I've wanted to fix for years. Like, I'm like, if the server bombs, because what happened, so let me just back up to tell everyone what's going on. So Butch was creating an F6 form, and he sent an email, and the form said success, email success. And but obviously the email wasn't getting sent. And the problem was his server didn't have a particular extension that normally is installed by default. It didn't have it enabled. And this extension is used so that I, as the developer, can encode and decode umlauts, basically non-Latin characters, right? And his server didn't have that extension enabled. And since I was trying to use that extension, it was just crashing. And basically, before the code ever executed, it just bombed and said, I can't run this code, and errored. Now, by default, PHP, even though it bombs, it still returns a 200 status code, right? So in HTTP terms, right, you probably heard like 404, you probably heard things like 404, right, and stuff like that. Well, those are what are called HTTP status codes. And essentially what an HTTP status code is it tells the browser ideas of what happened, right? So a 200 code is always like A-OK, everything's good. And then we have things like 500, which means server error. 404 is probably one you've all heard of. That means page not found, right? Something is not found, right? There's other ones like you've probably heard of 301 redirects. Well, 301 is the HTTP code for that redirect, right? So there's a bunch of other ones. Those are the main ones, right? 200, 301, 404, and 500. Okay, back to the original story. So PHP bombed because this extension wasn't installed, but it just sends a 200 message down to the browser. What? It's not a 200. The server bombed. Why does PHP do that? Apparently, it's like some backwards compatibility thing. And so I found some interesting workarounds. And in the next update of Foundation, it will actually return a 500 when the server bombs, which is cool.
Cool.
Yeah. It's actually, again, this is one thing that's like always bothered me for years. I think this probably happens in Foundation 1 forms as well. Where people will be like, I got this success message, but it didn't work. And so now if it at least if the server bombs because something's not installed or there's a syntax error or something like that, we won't get that success message anymore, which is a really cool thing. So anyway, that'll happen in 6.4.6 whenever I ship that update. So we got lots of people joining today. This is awesome. I love it. Ulrich, how are you? Oh, we got, let's see. Hello.
Fine. Hi.
How
Fine,
are
thank
you?
Greetings from Switzerland.
Switzerland. I love it. Love it. Bill, how are you? You join the Hangouts every now and then?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Fantastic. Willie, where are you from?
South Africa, Joe.
South
Yes,
Africa. Awesome. I think this is the first time I've ever actually had someone join in from, at least on these Zoom Hangouts that I do, from South Africa. That is awesome. What do you do in South Africa?
Well, I actually retired now, but just building some websites, you know.
Cool. I like it.
For some coding stuff, you know, so I've bought those books. So coding is starting to pitch up now. So
Awesome.
one of these days I'll be something else, you know.
Cool. Very cool. You know, I know this isn't semi-related, right? So I have some friends that they went to Uganda to actually adopt a boy. And they went there right before this whole coronavirus happened. And so it all, like, everything got locked down. They've been there for 2.5 months.
Oh my goodness.
They can't leave.
Oh, wow.
They are in Uganda for 2.5 months. I mean, I think they were planning on being there for like 6 weeks, but like now it's been like 10, 12 weeks. And that's just like what? They're like, yeah, no in and out. They can't, they're stuck. So yeah, pretty crazy for them. Wow.
What's the coronavirus like? What's it like in South Africa? Is it pretty, you guys having a lot of cases in South Africa?
Yeah, we're running quite high now. You know, I think our death toll is already about 500,000. So it's going, you know. So it's sorry. Yeah, it's no, sorry, it's not 500,000, it's 500, sorry.
Okay.
That's still, that's good number.
Our crisis is close to about 20,000.
Wow. Awesome.
Unbelievable.
Fernando, how are you? You've been on a tear lately. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. I'm really glad that you actually arranged this time, because I was I mean, yeah, it's a huge hour difference between you and me.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yep.
It was perfect. And
awesome. And you're in Spain, correct?
Yeah. I'm enjoying Foundation 6 a lot. I know I got a lot to learn, but getting there.
Oh, no. You've been posting a lot of great stuff. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Sweet. Robert, how are you today? Robert
Good.
Barrage.
Yeah,
or
good.
Bordage.
Bordage. Yeah.
Bordage.
Doing good.
How's the theater?
Well, we're still shut down.
Yeah, still shut down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are you located again? I forget.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. That's right.
Okay. So yeah,
cool. So does anyone have any questions or something that they'd like me to show? I'm happy to, we can keep chit chatting. I can chit chat all day long, but hey, if we want to see anyone's got any questions, that's what we're here for. So
I have a question that maybe it's very easy to do, but I'm I don't know. I'm learning a lot of stuff, and when that happens, some easy stuff is kind of difficult.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's always difficult until you know, like. basically,
yes. You remember in Foundation 1, you had something called icon bar.
Yes.
So with the icon bar, you would have a drop-down menu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so someone suggested to use buttons now. So I started doing this, and I have a button that basically does a opens a drop-down menu.
Sure.
And then it sort of refers to a drop-down ID. But after that, I'm not sure how to proceed. What should I do? How do I connect the button to the drop-down menu?
Sure, we could do that. I think the confusion that some people have is in Foundation 1, there was one button stack, right? And now there's a bunch of them, right?
Yes.
And mostly because I was trying to break up a lot of the operations, right? So that mostly, to be honest, for performance, right? I'm trying to get away from, you know, having one stack that just has like a million settings, right? And so I broke the button stack up into multiple different types of buttons, right? The default button is, I think, a link button, right? I think when you add a button group, no, it's a button stack. Okay, well, here, well, let's find out. Let's go ahead.
There is a link button. There is a link button.
Yeah, okay. So the default is a button stack, but then a lot of people are like, I just need to add a link, and there's no link option in the button stack. So that's because there is a link button stack. But for drop downs, you actually don't want a link. You actually want the button stack.
There are two link button stacks, and it's very difficult to distinguish between the two. One has an astronaut, and the other one has a chain.
Okay, let's go ahead and look.
There is a slight difference between the two. So I was using both, but with no luck.
Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and I don't need site styles for this. Let's just shrink that. There we go. Okay, so if you are seeing two link button stacks,
yeah, the other one is the astronaut one.
All right, well, this is a button stack.
No. It has a link. The same thing.
Okay,
with
I
the
think
astronaut.
possibly you have, if we go to show hidden stacks. You possibly have show hidden stacks enabled.
Perhaps.
Zoom.
Perhaps. Let's see. I probably don't have all those.
Nee, tegelijk.
Oh yeah. Okay. See. So yes, there are two. This link button stack that has the astronaut. You shouldn't be seeing that. So essentially, what you need to do is you need to turn off show hidden stacks. Okay. That will resolve a lot of confusion for you, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people turn that on thinking that they want to see all that stuff. You don't want to see that stuff. Okay. All these little stacks that are that you see via these little plus buttons, you don't actually, or most of them you don't actually see in the stacks library. And that's because those were intended to be added via these plus buttons. Right? So for example, with the button group, let me add a button group to the page. Right? So if I add this button group to the page, right, and I click on this link here, this is the stack you were seeing, right? But this link stack that has the astronaut, that's this one right here. It's not really meant to be added to the page directly from the stacks library. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So so definitely make sure that you turn off show hidden stacks.
Okay.
It'll hide everything that you don't need to see.
Let's go with the link stuff, please. The link button, please.
The link button. Okay, here's a link button. Yes.
And now the target, I believe it should be a drop-down menu.
Oh no. Okay. So all right, let's go here. So in button group, let's do the button group, and by default this adds a button stack. Okay. Here, let me go ahead and let's just delete these. By the way, you guys are seeing. I totally forgot I had Stacks 4.1 beta installed. So you guys are seeing a beta version of Stacks 4.1 that I have installed that has some cool little performance metrics for us developers so we can make our stuff faster for everybody. Okay. And I forgot to turn that off. So that's my bad. But anyway, ignore that.
Thank you for sharing.
Isaiah did confirm he doesn't care if anyone sees it, but yeah. I should just note, because I know a lot of you are probably seeing this and being like, what is that? I don't have that. Okay. And even if when you get it, don't turn this stuff on. It's really only for us developers. It's not going to really help you at all. Okay. Anyway, but just to confirm, all the metrics, say Foundation 6 stacks, are blazing fast. Just saying. Okay. Anyway, back to what we wanted. So we have a button, and let's call this drop down, right? You wanted a drop down, correct, Fernando?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's call this drop down. I'm gonna say open drop down. So in the type, you select open drop down, and the default, the drop down ID is drop one. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to add a drop down stack to the page. So then I add this drop down stack. Let's add in a.
Sorry, just one little question. Should that drop down be visible or not visible?
Well, it's invisible on page load, so you're not going to see it on page load by default. Okay. You don't need to add anything to it. It won't be visible on page load. It's kind of like a light box. It's hidden until you activate it, right? So that's exactly how these buttons work. So let's just add a. Okay. I'll just add an image in here.
I know what I did wrong. I added a drop-down menu instead.
You added a drop-down menu. Yeah, you need a drop-down stack.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, there's actually a template. Also, you just reminded me. The split button template. Okay. So there was actually in Foundation 1, there was actually a stack called split button, and there is no more stack called split button, because here, let me go ahead and delete these, because when you if we look at the split button template, if I unpack it, we'll notice that all it is a button group, and it's two buttons. It's a button and then a little drop down caret that is also a button. Okay. And this drop down is configured to open this or this caret button is configured to open up this drop down menu. Okay. And this is a drop down stack that has a menu stack inside of it.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll preview that. Oops. Previewed over here. Hold on a second. Boop. Right. So if I click on that, you'll see that I get my little drop down now.
Yeah. So that drop down, in which group was it located? Sorry.
So if you have, there is a free download on the Foundation product page. Here, let me let's go there now.
No, I don't mean the example, the drop down that you use. In which group is it located?
Oh, it's the red. It's in the red. It's containers. It's called drop down.
Okay, containers. Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the containers is kind of like where like things like light boxes and generic kind of UI containers are. I don't know, I couldn't come up with must not have been creative that day. I just called it containers. But at least they're all categorized nicely with nice icons. So that's important.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit? I have not used templates. Can you talk a little bit about the templates? And I don't know if I've never even looked at them.
Sure. Okay. So first off, let me just say that if you go to or let's go to Foundation product page. So on all my product pages, there is a download section. Not all my products have downloads yet. I added it pretty recently after Foundation 6 launch because I wanted to give some downloads. I think my major products have some downloads: Total CMS, Foundation, and I think email stacks and a couple others, right? But eventually, all products will have downloads, and eventually, users will allow you to submit downloads for everyone else to access, which will be fun. Okay, but right now I'm the gatekeeper for it. So in here there is here it is, Foundation templates. You just click on this, that will download a stack, and it contains when you install it, it will contain all of these templates. I just created a group in my stacks library that has all of the templates.
Oh wow.
And so what these templates are, they're kind of like just pre-made layouts and things that I've done for you, right? So some of them are simple, like, if you want to learn how do I open up a light box from a button, right? Well, here we go. Here's a template that shows you how to open up a light box from a button, right? A lot of people want, social button groups, right? So like buttons for all your very social networks. Well, here's one already done for you, right? Yeah. So I plan on making a lot more of these. I'm not very happy with the organization of these. I need to rethink that. Even myself, I find it hard to find what I want. So if you have any ideas, send them over, or let's post it on Weaver Space. I'm open to ideas on how to organize these. I'm talking with Isaiah. Maybe we can put like little, instead of, because they all have the same icon. It'd be nice maybe if they were a different layout, maybe like a screenshot of what it is or something like that, to make it a little bit nicer, just to visually see what they are. But that's something that would require a lot of work on Isaiah's part, because you'd have to redo all this UI, and UI in a Mac app is not simple, right? So,
Joe, I have what I believe is an important request, but okay. You know,
Sure.
in your page, when you go to the videos, when you play a video,
yeah,
you cannot return back.
On my product pages.
Yeah.
If you play any video and then you finish, I click go back, and it doesn't go back to the page.
So I'm playing a video, and I click on the lightbox, and it closes.
Where do you click?
I just oops. Oh, it's because so there is an X. You can click anywhere on this background, and it'll just close it.
Okay, what I did is I hit the left arrow in the browser, and then it didn't work.
If you hit the X arrow.
This arrow here in the
the back arrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that opens up in a lightbox, so it doesn't open a new web page. Maybe I should make that background semi-transparent, so it's not so it's a little bit more apparent that it opened in a lightbox, so you could still see the content in the background. I could see that.
So basically, you click anywhere outside the video, and
just click anywhere outside the video, it'll close.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No, that's great feedback. You know, I think I originally made this transparent, but I don't know, maybe something I did probably broke it. So I'll get that fixed. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay.
Where we were chatting about, oh yeah, templates. So Butch, does that kind of help you with what templates are?
Yeah,
cool.
No, it'd be nice. I may build some templates, so more of a business driven, like, you know, here's a marketing template for forums. Here's a
100%. I am working on a pro template pack, as well as that are very, very nicely designed. So some pre-designed templates that are just, you pop them on the page and you'll be happy to use them on your site as is. Those will probably be a different premium template pack, but I do also plan on having more of these. And also, please, if you create any templates, feel free to share them. Brett created a really awesome hamburgers template. The hamburger that ships in Foundation 6 is rather simple. And he created some really nice animated hamburgers, and he just created a template out of them based on some code that he found online. And yeah, it works really well. So it's on Weaver Space. I think he posted it a day or two ago, and you can just go and download it there. Eventually, stuff like that will be here on Weaver Space, and I'll upload it so we can all have a place to share and see and collaborate and find cool templates that other people have created. That's my goal for this. That requires me to get Foundation or Total CMS 2 done though, first. So soon. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Sure.
Every year, my wife, I've got a family website, and every year my wife writes a letter and I put it up there. But how do I embed the PDF, or what's the best way to embed a PDF into the website? Right now I've converted them to JPEG so people can look at them, but they can't download them.
Yep. Okay. The best solution for that is I have a stack called PDF Embed, and it allows you to embed a PDF directly in your site. Here, let's just.
Okay, because I looked at it and said this stuff's 10 years old, and I went,
no, it's not 10 years old. I'm not sure where you saw that, but I actually just completely rewrote it. I think it was in February.
His PDF is 10 years old.
Yeah, the PDF that I'm previewing is. The demo PDF is 10 years old. The technology behind it is 2 months old. Yeah. Maybe I should reword that. I'm just saying that the manual that I was embedding, I used to do manuals for all of my products, and that it just became unscalable for me. So this particular PDF, like if you notice all this is old Stacks UI. All the settings are different. Everything is completely different. So PDF embed, definitely the way to go. And it works on mobile. It works everywhere. So yeah.
Actually,
I have a question.
Sure.
You know, in the top bar.
Yeah.
When you go mobile, which one is it? Is the title bar that appears or the other one? I can never remember.
Title bar appears when you go to mobile. Yeah.
Title bar appears, and then you have the hamburger and menu. If you add a drop down, then the word menu disappears, and you can only add something. And to me, it's strange that there I want to add like the logo of my company or my school, but then I also want the menu word next to the hamburger, and that I don't like it to this. But I don't understand why the word menu disappears.
So the word menu disappears when you go to mobile?
No. When you click on add drop down.
Oh yeah. Well, because at that point I'm giving you the freedom to add whatever you want. So all you have to do is add some text in there, and that puts in menu.
But then that requires a 2-column stack to add menu and then the logo.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the way. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, you know, that's the whole thing of, you know, it's like, here's the default behavior. And then like I could have 20 more settings to give you all these other things, or just let you simply add a 2-column layout yourself, right? Does that kind of make sense? So yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
What about the big white duck floating badge? Couldn't you use it that way? Or do a header with a second segment?
You could do that. Another thing you could do here, I'll show you something kind of interesting that I think will be a learning experience for many of you. Okay. Let me start with a simple example really quick. Here, let me delete some of these things in here that we don't need. I don't need that. Okay. So let's look at buttons. Where's the button? Buttons are down here. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna add 2 buttons here. Okay. I'm not going to preview this. What is this going to look like when I preview this?
I'm going to be in line.
All right. Don't be a cheater, Scott.
What do you mean a cheater?
Man, Scott's trying to look
That's
like a
the
smart
question.
Yeah. Okay. So you might think, some of you may think, because this is how things worked for many, many years, that, well, I see buttons on top of each other inside preview. Or in edit mode, that's exactly what I would see in preview. And that's not what's going to happen. Okay. And that's done by design, because in web design, there are certain elements that are what are called display block. Okay. Display block means it's going to take up the entire thing, and whatever you add after it will come below it. Okay. And then there's also things that are called display inline. Okay. Which means, obviously means they're in line. Now, by default, a button is displayed in line. Okay. Now inside edit mode, because of the whole UI, everything, all these little boxes are, you know, making everything a block. Okay. But on the published page, that is just 2 buttons, right? There's no wrappers, there's no anything, right? So those buttons are just going to line right up with each other. Okay. Now you might be thinking, well, what if I wanted a button on top of each other? Well, at that point, then you would do something like this, right? You would just simply, you would put in a container, and then you'd put a button in a container, and then you'd put the other button in the container. Okay. And at that point, oops, we'll preview in RapidWeaver instead of, at that point, you now have 2 buttons on top of each other. Now the container by default has a gutter. That's why there's a space there. Okay. So if you really wanted that particular layout, you could add your own wrapper. Okay. And a container is a block element. Okay. So what is an inline element? Like what other things are inline? So buttons are a big thing that are inline. There are other things that are inline as well, though. There's not many. Label is another one that's inline, right? So if we just do, we'll do some labels here, right? And we'll preview that. You see the button, all those are just inline. Okay, all these labels. Okay, and there's a few other things. Let's see what else is there. A badge is an inline element, right? I think once you add them to the page, they're kind of noticeable in that, they're all small little UI elements, right? So you can have as many of these little badges as you want, and they'll just line up right next to each other, which is kind of cool. Okay, so with that said, let's go to Fernando's top bar example. And to be honest, you actually don't need a 2-column, and that's because we can leverage this inline, this inline thing, right?
Okay.
Let's add a title bar. I'm gonna add a title bar, and we wanted a title bar drop zone. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to I'm gonna add a header stack in here. And you'd be like, Joe, I don't want a header, right? Okay, bear with me. So header has a couple special little things where it allows you to add things that necessarily aren't headers. So in this example, we're going to add a span, which is inline text. See that word, inline text? Okay, so this is no longer, while the stack name is called header, it actually is no longer a header. It's now a span. Okay, and what we can do is we can just add in menu.
Yeah.
Okay, and he wanted his icon. So I'm not sure what his icon is, but we'll just go ahead and add an
Apple.
SVG.
That's the Apple, and you need to make it smaller.
Yeah.
Like 50.
Yep. Okay. So now we have that. We'll left line, we'll right. And if I did this right, oh, it's styled black as well. Fill white. Now, this particular thing, I noticed. So you might be thinking, oh, Joe, smart ass, but now they're on 2 lines. Why is that? And I didn't expect that to happen. I thought maybe I did this a different way. But so I'm styling currently the SVG stack is styled as a block element. But I think we could just do display dash inline. I think this is a utility class. I think this is. Okay, there we go. And then we might need to do some tweaking and some other things to make sure that all that's aligned properly. But
yeah, this was my problem. The menu actually was out of position.
Okay. Yeah. So at this point, it might be easier just to use, because a column stack has the ability to line things up vertically. So actually, for that case, I didn't anticipate that actually. It might be simpler to do that, right? So here we can go in the 2-column, we'll just go vertical alignment middle. And if you see that, boom, right there, see the menu, the Apple are lined up now, right?
It's also good to know that things that happen to me, sometimes they happen to you.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I build all these stacks are, there's an infinite combination of things that we can do here, right? So like, I never tried this, right? Because I never thought to, right? So but luckily, we just need to play around to find the tools that we need to solve it, right? Now, obviously, if you look at that, we need to add a little bit of spacing in between those, or maybe not top and bottom, just left and right. Well, you can play around with the spacing. That's probably a little bit big, right? But yeah,
nice,
sweet. That was fun.
Sorry that I have another question, and I probably
go for it. That's why we're here, man.
Okay. I created a swatch to take care of. Okay, I'll rewind. Your example of a footer that has several columns.
Okay.
So I created a swatch to style the menus in that footer.
Okay.
And I thought that if I applied it to the container, it would apply it to the menus. But at least in my example, it needed to apply to every single menu, which is okay.
So you used a menu swatch, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there are
Menu
certain
style.
swatches that are like targeted for specific things, and the menu swatch in particular is meant to be applied to a menu, right?
Okay.
So yeah, in that case, yeah, it's just the menu swatch. It's kind of like top bar. There's a top bar swatch as well. That was really built to be applied just to a top bar.
Okay, so
right?
so if I have like a container and I apply the swatch to that one, it's not going to work, and that's normal.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
But for other things like, the text color swatch is a perfect example, right? That can go on the container, and then the container will apply that text color, to everything within inside of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I thought I was doing something wrong, but this is
No. Yeah. Yep. Good question. Thank you.
So I have a question about position. Yeah, hi. Question about positioning text inside a two-column stack.
Okay.
I have two column stack with vertical height of 50% of the browser. Like to position header centered, vertical and.
Okay, so you have two columns.
Two columns.
So you have two columns that are 50% height of the browser.
Yes.
And that you want the text vertically centered.
Vertical, yes, and horizontal also.
Wait, but if the text is in a two column, how would they vertically center? I don't understand that part. Or horizontally centered.
It's in each of these two columns is one header stack. And each of these stacks should be positioned inside its own column in the center.
Okay, let me build it, and then you can correct me if I get the layout wrong.
Center within the column, Joe. Center within the column.
Yeah. Okay. So let's build this. We'll build this below here. We have a container, and then we have a two column stack, and then I'll just add two text stacks in here. Okay. Let's add some gutters just so that we have a little bit of spacing. Okay, let's preview. Okay, so what you want, oops, what the heck happened there? How come that is all wonky? There it goes. So what you want is you want this container to be 50% high, and then you want these to be in the middle, correct?
Right.
Okay. So there are two ways to do this. And I'm going to do it the way that you guys might not think you would do it. So instead of making this two column 50% height, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a one column into here. Okay. And what I can do is, so in a one, and then I'm going to add this text into a one column. Okay. Because one of the great things about columns in Foundation is you can really easily vertically align content within a column. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this one column 50% height of the browser. And I could create a swatch. I'm just gonna create a utility class. I'm just gonna do h:50 VH is a utility class for 50% height. Okay. And let's go ahead and preview that. Yeah, what's up with RapidWeaver preview? That's weird. Oh, this could be maybe an issue with stacks one. Oh, hold on. I forgot in my one column, I forgot to do vertically aligned middle. Let's preview that again. Okay. And there we go. So now on this particular stack, that column is 50% height, and then the content is centered. Okay, so now in order to replicate that over here,
use the one column stack. I try to position the text inside the column itself.
Yeah. So so now this should be, yeah. So now they're both centered. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What is really great with columns is this really easy ability to vertically align in the middle. So if you want something vertically aligned, try to chuck it into one column, size that one column to be what you want, and it's really, really simple to then vertically align that.
Okay, that
You
fixes
have a
my
video.
problem. Thanks.
But Joe, in order to do this, you have to have the custom classes specified, right? So your average user, your beginning user, is not going to know that you're going to have to work with the utility function of that. So
No,
this-
here. Oh, okay. I'll do it with a Swatch.
Yeah, how would a new user that doesn't understand utilities yet, they're working their way up to
Sure,
it, how would you
sure.
approach the same issue using a simpler approach?
Okay, sure. Let me just go ahead and delete those utility classes. Okay. So I'm gonna create a Swatch. So we as a new user, I have this layout right now, right? Here, let's preview this again. Okay. So I want this. Let's actually color this this 2-column. Okay. Oh, here, just for speed, I'm actually going to use this BG primary. Okay. Or I'm going to do. Sorry, I'm using another utility class, but it's just quicker for right now. We'll do secondary. Okay. All right, there we go. All right. Actually, maybe I should apply that to the container. Okay. All right. So as a new user, I have this layout. Okay. And I want to make this 50% height and then make these text centered. Okay. So what you might want to do is, okay, so if I want to change the height of something, obviously I'm going to need a height swatch, right? Okay, so we add a height swatch and we need to give that a name. So we could just say this half height, okay? Why not? Okay, so whatever I add this class to, it's going to call it half height, okay? And let's just go height setup. We're going to do simple. And actually, yep, simple. And then we just do 50% browser height. Okay. And if you care to learn, it actually tells you the exact CSS that's being used. But that's fine. So now I have this class called half dash height. And let's go ahead and now a beginning user might think I'm going to add that to my 2-column. Okay, because I want that to be half height. Okay, so let's preview that. And that did work, right? So I now have a container. My 2-column is half the height of the browser. Okay, but my text isn't immediately vertically aligned, right? And that goes to me saying that it is really easy to center align things within a single column. Okay. So actually, for fun, let's go ahead and if I go here, and let's say they try this, I'm going to try to vertically align that. And that, oh, shit, that actually works. Look at that. Oh, Jesus.
That was too fast. What did you do?
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, let me make sure it wasn't because of the 1-columns. 1 second. There we go. Now it's done.
So you didn't even need the 1-column?
Didn't even need the 1-column. That was my bad.
Could you? Yeah. See, this is
I tried it without the 1-column, and it didn't work for me.
So you set the 2-column to be
50%. Exactly.
50%.
Yes.
And you had 2 texts in there.
Yes. I have only a single line of text.
Yeah, but yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. That doesn't. Shouldn't matter. Or we can make that less text. It's fine, right?
This is a
Look at
key.
that. See, exactly my post from yesterday. Like, see, I created something and it was a little bit complex. And because of Jody, it made me simplify things, right? If you notice my post on Weaver Space that I posted last night.
Yes, there's one more thing, Joe. You have
Yes.
to horizontal center each text inside this box.
Okay. So in the 2-column, so we can now align our text. Okay. So in here, you go content alignment. Okay. So the alignment here is the horizontal and vertical. That basically think of that as lining blocks of content, right? But then this content alignment here, this allows us to center our actual text content. That hard to explain exactly explain that, but that's exactly what that does. So that now centers our text. So we're vertically aligning to the middle, and then we're aligning our text content text align centered. And then you can also change that to be, you know, if you want different alignment on medium and large, you can do that too. But we just want to leave that as inherent.
Okay.
That's cool.
Sorry, that was a bit fast. Where do you apply the swatch to the 2-column?
To the 2-column, yeah. So I created the swatch called half height. Okay, and this half height says it's 50% for the browser height, and then I just applied that class to the 2-column half height.
That's it.
That's it. And then you have to make sure you set the vertical alignment to be the middle, and then we set our text because we wanted the text to be align centered, so we align that to the center.
What I did, I tried to use the position swatch and set it to center and center horizontal and vertical inside.
So you tried to apply the
yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, this is the better way to do it.
Of course, it works.
Yeah.
Joe, what is the white area at the bottom of the preview?
Oh, that is I have a Stacks 4.1 beta.
No. In preview this in the browser, there's
this down here. That's just because I don't have enough content in my page to fill the top, fill the whole page.
But it still should be 50% of the browser height, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but this one up at the top isn't. I don't know what that one's set to.
Okay, just asking.
Yeah, no problem.
How's the
Yeah.
server?
The one at the top isn't set to be a percentage of the browser height. It's just this gray box.
Okay, the 1-column stack is the solution for my problem.
No, just the 2-column stack. That's it. Yeah, you just need a 2-column with vertical align middle and text align center.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Hey, from Italy. Hi. Theo.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm fine. You?
I'm fantastic.
You're amazing as usual. Just a couple of questions. One has been buzzing my mind for a while now, and about micro interactions, SVG and micro interactions, or micro interactions as well, as they are. I'm referring to Lottie, if you know what I mean. Lottie is a kind Lottie from Airbnb design. Okay. Something like you know, micro interactions to me to have your content more interesting, or you know, just a very simple interactions like the one you showed us through CodePen last live stream. But I mean, a simple content, kind of a SVG, so next to some text that you can just have moving or morphing, but very simple. So my question is it possible to have that in Foundation 6 or not?
So you just want to have an animated SVG?
Yeah, something like that, but yeah, kind of that.
So I mean, there's no of those, none of that features are built directly into Foundation 6, but this is just web. So like I was showed last week, if you find the animated SVG code, just plop that into either the SVG stack or an HTML stack, and it should just work, right? Yeah, but there is no specific features for animated SVGs built into Foundation 6. I have been working kind of like on the side a little bit. I have a lot of little tiny side projects. I've shown one off called Drift a couple times, and that is just the start of some really cool animation stuff that I want to do. I do think that there isn't enough easy ways to do animations for RapidWeaver sites, and I want to start doing more of that. But I'm not gonna. I'll be honest. I have to get Total CMS 2 shipped, and then at that point, I'll probably start working on some really cool animation stuffs. So yeah, Until then, though, yeah, search in CodePen or finding some code snippets that you really want and just adding those into an SVG or an HTML stack is probably your best bet. Okay. Sorry if that's not the answer you were looking for.
Joe.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Another question, just another question, please.
Sure.
Just another one, if I can. About margins and paddings on websites. I noticed that on your site, you have not fixed margins, but proportional or percentage margins.
Yeah,
if you know
yeah,
what
it
I mean.
depends. Sometimes I use proportional.
So my
margins,
question
yeah.
was just a request for an advice, a suggestion from you. If it's better to have a fixed margin or a proportional one.
You know, that's just one of those things where it's like, is it better? Well, it depends, right? To be honest,
Sure.
like it's just it depends on how you want your layout to really behave, right? Because I guess here let's just show what people so people can know what we're talking about here. Let's play with this little thing I have up here. Okay. Let's see what I have here. I'm going to turn off the static padding on this one column. Okay. And let's start playing with a padding container or padding swatch. Okay. And we'll just call this, I don't know, reactive padding. Okay. And let's go ahead and apply that reactive padding to this one column. Okay. So, by default in the padding stack, everything is like based on pixels. Okay. So it's a static. Although if you ever noticed, if you click on, even though it's 40 pixels, the actual output is 2.5 rem. So it actually uses responsive units on the publish page, but I define the settings as pixels because people understand pixels. Okay. Okay. So anyway, let's go to detailed. Actually, no, we want to go to detailed. This one. And when you go to this far right setting, it gets all kinds of crazy stuff, right? So here we can define our own unit. So we can use percentages, we can use pixels, and we can use rem. Now, if we were to do a percentage, okay, let's go ahead and do, I'm just gonna do 20% everywhere, which is actually quite big. Now, what's annoying is here, you have to actually put in values everywhere, okay? Then you can even define your own breakpoints if you want. Okay, so what this does is by setting the padding to 20%, what it is it's gonna take the width of that container and 20% of whatever that width is, it's going to be the padding. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll notice is as I make my browser smaller, the padding will also become smaller. Right? Now, obviously, there's also in here, there's also the site width that is kind of affecting it, right, as well. Here, let's just go ahead and make this container. I'm just gonna make it full width all the way. Okay. Oh wait, what? Do I have a maximum width here somewhere? What else do I have going on here? Oh, that container. Hold on, I'm gonna auto there too. Try that. Okay. It's more noticeable on the top and bottom. Okay. But if you notice that padding is getting larger and smaller based on the size of the browser, right? So that makes sense for some layouts. You know, this one, it might make perfect sense, but it might not make sense in other respects. Does that, you know? So it really just depends. That's why, I mean, we have the power to do that with swatches. But I would say most of the time, static padding is probably what you want. I think the percentage padding is normally good when you're using something really large, so that when it's on a really big display, you have more white space, right? Does that make sense?
Sure, makes sense.
Because in that instance, if I were to make that all 20 pixels all the way around, then that white box that was in the center would just be huge on a big monitor, and that wouldn't really look how I'd want it to look.
1920 up, 1920 with
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, can
Thank
you
you.
only on the left side, the padding? Can you do that? Show it?
Yeah, you could. So in that I just put 20% on all, but you could just set padding left to be 20% and set the other ones to be 0.
Do it,
that's
please.
Oh, you want me to do it? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Okie dokie artichoke. Okay, so left is this one, so we'll set all the others to 0. Okie dokie. There we go. Oops, browser's over here. There we go. I set my left to be 20%.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Now, at some place when I put the left, the margin or the padding was on the right. The L and the R in the were changed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you find a bug, like in terms of maybe I swapped the left and right in the code somewhere, that's possible. I could have done that by accident. Let me know. I'll happily, if you ever find that again, let me know. And it could be a bug. But this particular example seems to be working.
Joe would never do anything like that.
Say that again.
Joe would never do anything.
Hey,
like that.
Tron, what's up, dude? Oh man, this is a legend. Tron was the first guy who helped me out. Came aboard, helped me out with support for many years.
Now I'm seeing everything I'm missing.
Haha.
Yeah, you can
man,
tell
I haven't seen you in forever, man. Man, look at that beard.
I know. It's like it's all there now.
Man, the girl moved out of the house already? Get rid of you or what? How old is she?
She just turned 15.
Oh, okay.
Like last
Still got
weekend.
a few more years.
Yeah. Last weekend turned 15.
Wow. Man, time flies, dude.
I know, right? So I saw the invite for you to pop in, say hey.
Cool. Hey, how's it going, man? Awesome.
I saw Rob's in here somewhere.
Oh yeah, probably.
I saw his name pop up eventually down in there somewhere.
Man, I just noticed we got like two pages of people. This is awesome.
I know, right?
I love it.
All right,
maybe we should do a hangout on Wednesdays, like I don't know, maybe like once a month. Maybe the last one of the month or something like that could be, something like that. I think I could do that because I know a lot of people complain that the times that I do on Fridays are not convenient. So maybe we could do that. Maybe this live on Hangouts on Wednesdays, maybe like the last one of the month could be like this. I could like that. I could dig that.
Are you still doing them on Friday?
Yeah, every Friday, man. For like
Really?
7 years now.
Oh,
We still go for like hours. My wife, man, sometimes she's like, "You get every Friday, you're on that thing for like 5 hours talking to people." I'm like, well, if I don't, Davide's gonna whip me. Like, I gotta get stuff done.
Oh man, we should let them talk,
Yeah.
just create a Zoom room for them, and we can keep going.
Exactly.
Joe, do you know the pill button that you used to have?
Yes.
So I wanted to do a special button to something on my website. So I did a button styles or whatever it's called, the Swatch. But then I wanted all the other buttons to be like pill buttons. So I thought I would do a rounded class. But I asked you for a specific example, and that I don't know how to do that.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
what's the class? Do you just do rounded something?
So well, you can't use the rounded class. Are you seeing RapidWeaver? Did I share the wrong screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hold on. That was weird. Normally it prompts me. It didn't prompt me this time for what desktop to share. There it goes. Okay. Can I see RapidWeaver?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you can't, so this actually come up a few times. Let's talk about this a couple times for a minute. Okay. A lot of times, so there, if you look at this classes stack, there are some classes here that you can use, right? And all the ones that display here by default actually don't require you to add the utility class stack into RapidWeaver, okay? I'm not going to go into utility classes right now. Watch the video. I have one on that, okay? But all of these classes that are here are there by default. You can use them without anything, okay? But there are some generic ones as well, and they're not all possible. Actually, rounded isn't in here. Oh no, it is rounded. Okay.
It is, but there are no examples.
Yeah, there are no examples, and that's because these are kind of classes that you can add to anything to apply that particular style, right? So like if you want a shadow on something, just add the shadow class, and it'll add a shadow to it. You can't customize that shadow, but at least it adds like a pretty decent drop shadow for you. Okay. Same thing for rounded. What that does is that'll add round corners to anything. Actually, there's two. There's radius and rounded. They're different. Let's show you what the difference are really quick.
I can't. I've got no power.
Go ahead and add let's do it to a button. Why not? Okay. Okay. So for example, if I had a button stack and if I type radius, okay, you'll notice it adds a radius to the border. Okay, they're not square corners anymore. Okay. Now if I add rounded, okay, it makes it a pill. Okay. Now in button in particular, I actually have, you don't need to know what those classes are because I have these buttons here. So I have a radius button, I have a round button. Ooh. And guess what those buttons do, right? If you click on this round button, all it does is add the rounded class for you, right? Same thing for this radius. If you click this button, all it's doing is adding a class to the button. Okay. It's not magic. Okay. But you wanted a custom radius, right? Actually, I'm going to, hopefully Brett doesn't mind, but I am going to show off a site that Brett Carmichael did. And he actually, and the reason I'm going to show it is because he has some unique button shapes here. Oh, at least he used to. Let's see. Oh, he took them off. I thought it was this site. Oh well. Maybe it was on LeapWorks.
No, Joe, that's actually the new site.
Oh, that's your new one. Oh, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a new design. Okay. So
if you want, I can show it real quick just for a sec, and then folks can take a peek. But
oh, God, Brett, is that you also, Scott Williams? That's actually
yes,
Brett.
Yeah, I am also Scott Williams.
Okay.
I won't say I'm an improvement over the existing Scott Williams. I'm just the backup in case this Scott has to leave early. And yeah, that's it.
Okay.
One sec, I'm just opening this up here.
By the way, Joe, thank you for the fast update of the RW menu.
Oh, okay, cool. That fixed it for you?
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, so these are the button shapes that Joe's talking about down here.
There we go.
Very nice. You have a template for that, Brett?
I mean, I have the CSS for it, but
okay, CSS.
I didn't create a template for it. But like I use basically a combination between like, well, Joe will tell you how I did this actually.
Yeah. Okay, so cool. Let me go ahead and I'll share my screen and show you how we could do that. I'll just focus on the border radius aspect of that really quick though. Brett has some other things, some cool like little hover effects and shine, inner shadows and whatnot going on. But we'll focus on the border radius for right now. So let's go ahead and I'll add a rounding swatch. Okay. And the rounding swatch is actually really cool because you can actually really see right here inside the swatch. We'll call this oblong, I guess. I don't know, something like that. Okay. So let's go to, yeah, well, okay. So here you can set the units on borders can actually be percentages or pixels, okay? And you'll see what those do. And by default, if we just increase this to, let's do like 50, okay? You'll see that you can see exactly what that does. Now, if I set it to be percentage versus pixels, you can kind of see how that changes the look of the rounding. Okay. Now, if we go to detailed, though, we can actually now set individual radiuses for different borders, right? So, for example, let's say I want this to be 50, 50, or 50, 20, 10, 50, right? Right. Maybe you want a shape like that. Okay. Maybe actually another thing you could do is actually if you do 0 and 0 there, like this is a great shape. Like if you wanted to dock a particular item to the side of the browser, you know, you want to be flush to the browser, but then maybe you want to have it rounded on the end, right? So, you know, that's a valid shape, right? But let's say I want it, let's try to replicate Brett's buttons a little bit. So let's see, let's see, we want the bottom left and the top right. Right? The bottom left and top right are going to be 50s, and then we want that to be that, right? So now we're kind of getting a more unique shape, okay? And if we wanted to kind of play around with some of these, you know, we can even get some weird stuff, okay? Where it's not even fully rounded. It's like kind of like a round, and then it kind of drops off, right? So, I mean, just playing around with these settings, you can see how you can get some interesting stuff, okay? If we go to detailed, I kind of like the detailed look because you can kind of just slide these sliders, okay? And just kind of play around with how things are going to look, right? All right, but let's do, we wanted bottom left to be round. Actually, not very round. I'm going to set them all to be pixels as well. And then we wanted the bottom right and the top left be bigger. So I want top right to be less. Okay, let's say that's kind of an interesting shape. Let's say I want all my buttons to have that shape now. Okay, so that's an interesting shape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this class, and I'm going to put that class on my button, and there we go. That was all I had to do. Right now, if I want to affect this on multiple buttons, I could just duplicate this button. Let's say I wanted this button to be a different color, but even though it's a different color, the rounding, the oblong class is still affecting the border radius. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I actually did something almost exactly like this. But I wanted all the others to be different, but that's okay. I know how to do it now.
So if you wanted all of them to be different, so if you want to target everything on the page, okay, so you don't want to have to go through all the buttons and change them, right? Okay, so that way, instead of a class, then we're going to use an element, and then we're just going to target all buttons. Okay. And there we go. Now every button on the page is going to have that shape without you doing anything.
What's
So
the
he wanted
difference
all but one
between
to
the
show
class
how to
and
put a parent class in.
Jody, what's the difference between a class and an element?
yeah, why? Tell me the logic about why you would choose one over the other.
Okay, so a class is something that, well, I have some really detailed videos about this particular topic, but for right now, a class is if you want to manually assign this style to something, okay? Like, for example, if I wanted this particular button to have that class, I would just paste it. Oops, apparently it's not on my clipboard anymore. I would put that class on that button, right? But it's not on this button. right? So I had to manually put that class in there.
Oh, so you can individually target something with a class, whereas an
Correct.
element will target every single aspect, every single instance of a button, or how would it?
Yes. Or any, as you see, there's lots of things in here, right? There, you can target badges, you can target tabs, you can target menus, you can target font awesome icons. I have all kinds of stuff. You can even target small buttons versus large buttons. Okay. So I give you a lot of kind of pre-baked things in here. There's also some total CMS stuff in here, which is very useful. But again, if you just wanted to target all buttons, really simple. Now there is another layer. If you look at these optional conditions, where you can target something called a parent class. So basically, I could target all buttons within a parent if I wanted. Let's show you what that means.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add let's just add some containers to the page, because right now these buttons aren't inside anything. Okay. And we're going to call this container for Jody. Okay. So I gave it a class for Jody. Okay. And so what I'm going to do now is I only want to apply this to all buttons that are inside something called for Jody. So I'm going to put the parent class to be for Jody. Okay. And now if you look here, this green button is no longer applied. The border is no longer applied because this green button isn't inside for Jody. Only this button is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right?
You know what this does? This brings up to me, I think, one of the main obstacles for newer users approaching Foundation 6.
Mm-hmm.
Because what has been lacking, I think, so far, and I think I've read it in several of the comments, is an overview of the architecture of how you approach this. What you're doing now is you're doing a very good explanation of almost levels of strategies that you could use. And I think that that is lacking so far in terms of making Foundation 6 more approachable to those of us coming from Foundation 1, or even just a new user off the bat who's not very technical.
Cool.
So,
thank you. Yes. And I agree. And I took your feedback from that a while ago. And I don't know, whenever the last batch of videos I released a few weeks ago, I think I've targeted that aspect. But luckily, we're doing this live stream today as well. And hopefully this is definitely helping people. So I thank you for all your questions. That's awesome, Jody. But again, let's just say, like, for example, here, I'm going to add this button into here, right? Let's chuck it right there. And this button is currently green, right? But if I wanted to, I could just say, okay, well, I now want to add for Jody onto here, right? And boop, because it's now inside of a for Jody, that button is now has that style. And I should also add that you have access to that parent class from if you're using a class as well, right? So, for example, let's do something a little bit different. So right now in my rounding swatch, I'm going to put I set the class to be oblong and the parent class to be for Jody. Right now, no button has the class of oblong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put oblong on this green button. Okay. Had no effect. But if I add oblong to this button, it is, right? And the reason that is because this button, even though they both have the class oblong, my rule isn't on oblong anymore. It's on for Jody oblong, right? So, and what that says is the parent container is for Jody, which this container has, okay, or the parent class, right? So it has a parent class of for Jody, which this one has. So all the oblongs inside there will get that.
you know what would be great is a visual, because to me, this is a hierarchy. And if you can explain the hierarchy in a visual format, I think it would go a long way towards people understanding the difference between what you're just explaining now, which I couldn't even verbalize if I tried. But I think a visual, if you can come up with a visual, I'm happy to work on it with you, because I can see all the holes from my own lack of understanding. Whereas you're coming from it you know all the trees so well, but there's no explanation of the forest and how the
Sure.
trees fit into the parts of the
Yep.
forest. So
Exactly.
maybe a visual that displays this hierarchy and gives it a good explanation would really help.
Sure. I'll think about that. Thank you, Jody. That's good feedback. You would like that hierarchy to be like interactive? I'm not sure. Interesting. I don't know.
Oh,
I'll have to think about that. I'll let that sit in the back of my brain.
Okay.
What was really good for me on Foundation 1 was the sample project that you could almost do everything there. So you could just copy and as it. I'm not sure that you have a similar one right now. I believe you just have examples here and there.
I have a couple demo projects in the download section on the product page. But one of the bad things about, so I supplied the foundationstacks.com website as a project. I'll probably never do that again, to be honest, in terms of giving you the entire website as a project. And the reason for that is I can't tell you how many people published that exact web page to their server, and it killed my SEO because because they published. I was being nice. I was giving you the website that I created for me. It was the actual project that had all my SEO, everything in it. And when users were publishing it to their websites, it was just killing my SEO. And so I will never do that again. And it's not because I don't want to give you that stuff. It's because I can't stop people from uploading it and killing my business.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. No, basically, I honestly think that Foundation 6 is really good. It's just you need time to learn it.
Yeah,
and that's it. And that's it.
And also, I mean, I'm getting better there. You know, as of right now, there's more material coming out, and I'm working with Elizabeth Martinez. We're working on a new demo site for it that will showcase all the individual stacks, or a lot of them, right? Because right now there isn't a single web page where you can see what's inside Foundation 6. There isn't.
I think,
yes, that's a fault. But yeah, it's just something that will happen with time. And I wish I had all of that stuff on day one, but it just wasn't possible.
I think it's cool. It's very logical. It's very logical the way it works. So that's very good.
Thank you.
Once you understand the new logic, then it's really easy to remember. And then you go back to Foundation 1 and you think, whoa, this is much better.
I know. That's what's missing. That's what's missing.
So last week, what I did was, so I reorganized the foundation. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel called Foundation 6. I reorganized that playlist for a more logical order in terms of what videos you should watch them in. Okay. So if anyone has any confusion, I recommend you go there and watch those videos in order. I think it has a much logical progression now from a beginner's perspective. Okay. So yeah, and I think the first video is like the whole reason. I did a video on why Foundation 6 is better, and I don't jump into any demos really quick. I talk about why I did things the way I did in Foundation 6. And then I think the second video is actually the live stream I did 2 or 3 weeks ago on Foundation 6 for beginners, where I really go all the way to the beginning from, RapidWeaver and stacks and whatnot. And then I go into progression of here, this is site styles. And then another video on this is what a swatch is. Another one is this is how swatch selectors work, right? So I really tried to do really small videos, 2 to 5 minute videos, to really get that down, because I understand that, you going and trying to find the one little tip you need in a 2-hour video for some of the live streams is not really good. I understand that. I mean, those live streams are great. If you do watch them, I think you'll get a lot out of them, especially the more experience you have, right? But the short videos are key, right? Because they really target down to the one specific thing that you might want to know.
Yeah, I think that the short videos and then the templates are the solution.
Yeah, templates are going to be big. Yeah, templates definitely are. And yeah, I have a batch of templates I need to ship out to you guys to get some more out there. But yeah, templates are definitely key as well. I agree with that 100%.
But they're also confusing.
Watch them
because
over
there's
and
so
over.
many of them.
I'm sorry, say that again.
They're also confusing because there are too many of them. So
yeah, well, and that's because they're confused, because even myself, I'm like, because they're all like the same icon, it's kind of hard to figure out what's there, right? And I'm working with Isaiah to kind of brainstorm on how we can make that better and make those easier to find. I agree with you. Finding the template that you might need is not as easy as I would like.
Joe, from my side, I think that foundation is extremely rich, and I bought it just a week ago.
Okay.
And what I've seen from that, it's just amazing. I've just finished the website just now, but I gradually probably will be starting to rebuild it with foundations, because it just gives me so much flexibility. I've built some stuff into the current website that I could have used separate from the main stacks, and it's working perfectly for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Any other questions?
I have a question, Joe.
Sure, Eric.
Robert.
Oh, Robert. Oh, I thought, sorry, you're right next to Eric and it came from that direction. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm in your neighborhood, so it's nice and hot
Yes.
today. So I don't know how you can wear a hat, but actually it's probably 5
It's because
degrees
you don't
higher
want to see my hair. It's all messed up today.
Okay, I know. So I have a problem. It's actually more a mental problem, and I haven't clarified in my mind. I'm probably trying to make shortcuts and trying to make some things very simple that I probably need more steps. So here's the problem. I have a map, a global map, and I have selected different countries that I'm trying to graphically represent something very subliminal, basically. So I just could put the same stuff in sentences, right? So one thing is basically, and it's 3 things. If it were 2 things, I could highlight, I could have like a mouse over or something like that, where I could represent 2 states, but basically one is languages that cover basically 1 billion people. So then you have, that would be the global map with the countries that cover this. So that's one. The second one is basically the whole map of the world, or the third one. And the third one is basically all the countries that they have been training, and then so basically there are basically 3 states of representing a map. And last night I was looking at your stack. What's the one? The carousel, the one with the VW bus icon. What's that
moving
one?
box.
Moving box. I could see. I could have kind of a moving box thing where I have one and have the text, and they kind of sync together.
Yes.
So yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to represent this. That's kind of simple, and I it's probably probably need to pay more attention.
For a way to like animate in having matching text with an image or some sort of map, right?
Right. So it's basically 3 maps. Now I could put 3 columns in it. That would be kind of okay in on the desktop, but then on cell it's not there. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this. And there's a place on the web where you can do this, and for $200 you can basically, it's an Excel file that is basically graphically represented. I could put these 3 states into that, basically all this information into these 3 states. So again,
I'm having some issues visualizing what you're seeing, what you're thinking. Yeah.
Right. So I was trying to figure out how can I basically have one map, basically global map, and then basically these 3 states where basically one is languages, that cover 1 billion people. Then all the people that have been trained through this company, which is, I don't know, a different map. And then there's basically all the countries of the world, which is potential of a new AI thing that would basically cover all. So basically I'm trying to put something like that in a very simple way, which is probably the problem is probably need more steps than that. So I just thought maybe you have something that you
Yeah,
you would approach this.
yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to visualize what you're describing, and it's kind of tough without seeing. I'm a very visual person, so if you had something I could look at, maybe post it on Weaver Space, and we can kind of brainstorm together on that, if you'd like. Yeah, post some images, or if you have an existing web page that you're like, I kind of want this. How can I build that? Yeah, we can come up with some ideas. But yeah, if I could see something, I think I could give you some better advice.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Stay hydrated.
Hey, Joe, I had a real quick question. Under the library group, when we create a new library group, you've got the ability for us to then choose an icon from a library of icons you have there.
Yes.
Is there any way for us to add our own icons to that list?
No. Right now, it only allows you to add font awesome icons. I don't expect that to change anytime soon.
Okay. And those are just all drawn from Font Awesome.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
First of all, I just jumped on, so if this was already covered, I apologize. And first, I'd like to say I dig the shirt. Very cool.
Thank you.
Very Hawaiian, very summer, man. I love it. I love it. So I just switched over to 6. I actually think I started using RapidWeaver 4, and I've been kind of with you the whole time, right? So I just jumped over to 6, and the only thing that I can't figure out, it's driving me crazy, is so I used to always bump my columns down to say 97 pixels, so they're not bumping on the side, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to ask, don't you? How do I do that in 6? How can I change the width of, let's say, a 2-column stack to say 97 pixels versus?
You mean 97%?
Yeah, 97%. I'm sorry. 97% versus
so
the whole thing.
there's already gutters, so why don't you just reduce your site width or add additional margin to the outside? You could do that as well, right?
Put it in a container.
Yeah.
So the containers we can move.
Maybe this one thing that's kind of clear, maybe not everyone knows, is the way to constrain your site is through the container stack. That's the only thing that constrains your website, right?
Oh, okay.
So if you put a column at the very top, like not inside of a container, that column will stretch the entire width of the browser all the time. But if you put that 2-column stack inside of a container, the container constrains it to the maximum width defined in site styles.
Nice. Okay. Very cool.
Okay.
Very cool. And don't quit doing what you're doing, man. I loved all the stuff that's coming out.
Thank you.
Joe,
Donna, I think I heard you have a question earlier. What's up?
Joe, I just wanted to ask you, well, I know I spoke to you last week about getting the biggest learning curve I have from going from foundation to the newest 6 foundation is doing mobile first. Like I designed, I think was a cool website on for a desktop, and then it just looks like crap on mobile. So I know that's a mindset, and I looked at your video, and I do have to read what you published. I haven't done that yet. But if you make a video on that, because also being a visual person, I'd like to see people walk through it.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah, I could redo that video in Foundation 6. I could see benefit in that, and I do have to say, even though I still, even to this day, sometimes, because we're designing it on the desktop, so we're just gonna design it and be like, yeah, that looks great, and then so even I run through that issues as well. So I just want to say you're not alone there, Donna.
Well, the other thing, a lot of times I design kind of simple websites. I have to do one for my church, which is going to be super simple.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I'm struggling, like I said, with 6. Would it be better to still use? I kind of went to 6 because I'm afraid that 1 will be eventually. I'll have to upgrade everything. And I've had that happen with websites before. I've had to redesign the ski site website that I do because all of a sudden RapidWeaver and changed, and then things CMS wouldn't work. So it's better to continue just do things in Foundation 6 and not kind of go back.
So, yeah. So I think going forward, I think Foundation 6 is definitely. I don't plan on deleting Foundation 1 or anything, or not I don't plan on adding any more features to it, but if there are any drastic emergency, fixes that need to go out for it, I'll definitely do that. I don't want to leave people high and dry, but I do say like anything that is modern and new, and you want new features and the latest and greatest, Foundation 6 is definitely what you should do, and what I'd recommend you do. But if you just need to slap up a really quick website, and it's for your church, and you think you could do it in, a third of the time because it's Foundation 1, the website's still going to be quality. It's still going to be a great website. It's still going to be fast. It won't have a lot of the latest and greatest that Foundation 6 has, as well. Foundation 6 is faster as well. If I don't want to deter you from using Foundation 1, if you feel it's the tool for the job, right?
Joe,
So-
I disagree. You told me like 2 or 3 times not to go to Foundation 6, and I entirely disagree. People should go to Foundation 6. And Donna,
okay,
one thing that I am finding very useful is that while I'm designing, I put the preview on mobile on the left of the screen. So I'm always at all time I'm designing for my web page.
Oh, that's interesting.
I preview, and that's desktop, but by default. But then I'm seeing things all the time on the left for mobile. And then
That's good advice.
Wrong. I think, oh, maybe I should do this different, because every single thing I put on my page, I am seeing on the left on the phone.
And
How do you
do that, Fernando?
I'll show you how to do that. Here, let me share my screen.
Why Joe pulls that up, the cool thing about that is it automatically updates itself.
Yes.
So Fernando, I found that. I'm like, oh, that's a cool feature because it constantly does that.
Exactly, that one.
So here, let me.
I moved that thing to the left.
You're just talking
so it's out of the way.
Yeah, he's just talking about the simulate window. So you guys are seeing RapidWeaver, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so he's just designing a site, and he's leaving the mobile version, the mobile preview version over here. And I had mobile already set, but you can choose your device, right? So then whenever he's just moving his stuff around, right?
And
you'll see that it automatically updated. So as he's building out his page, it's just kind of sitting over here on the side. As you see, for example, this container looks horrible right now on mobile because of some of the changes I did, right? But so he's seeing, as he's building this, he's like, oh man, that looks horrible on mobile. I like that workflow. That's a good one.
Great strategy, great workflow. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's very helpful.
Well, I'm actually not very very happy with that. I mean, I never work with that thing always open on the right, because sometimes you work faster than what the app can preview. So sometimes it just doesn't render very well, and it just stops working, and you have to close everything and open it up everything. It doesn't work for me, but I see what the point is there.
I found that if it stops working for you, all you have to do is hit the refresh, the little half circle at the top. You don't even have to shut it down, and it usually pops right back up. Now I'm using 8 on that, so I know there was some challenges with it in some other versions, but this version I'm finding it very well. And real quick, Joe, I'll let you get back to it, but I just wanted to jump on something about the learning curve. I found with 6 that I thought the learning curve was a lot bigger than it was. I was a little bit overwhelmed by all the changes, but once I got into it, the learning curve was half of what I thought it would be. So if you got time and you got something you can cut your teeth on that isn't make or break, or maybe even part of your livelihood, I strongly suggest, and this isn't trying to sell Joe stuff, but I strongly suggest jumping on 6 and just messing around with it. And once you get over it, and Fernando's shaking his head and giving me a thumbs, once you get over it, you find, oh, well, this isn't that different. Yeah.
One caveat about the window on the side is it's a representation of what it probably looks like on cell, but it is not really. So if you do a lot of work, you probably want to check every half an hour, every hour that it really looks like that on you. So you want to either have a beta site or something to. I've done a lot of times where I say, oh, finally I'm done, because it looks like, oh, it looks good. And then you go and it's like, oh,
yeah,
no, it's just not doing that, because certain things on cell just basically check the evidence every half hour, 45 minutes, but I have the same way to work with that. It's a very good representation, but it's not 100% accurate necessarily.
Cool.
Joe, I have a question.
Sure, yeah.
I have a lot of stacks, and my site is looking much better when I use the different stacks. But now I have a very simple site, and now my SEO is very high. When I use the stacks, my SEO drops. What's the best I can do? Use the.
You mean
nice,
your page feed?
Yes, I have now a SEO. I can show it. Let's see. How do I do that?
It's a green, if you want to share your screen, it's a green button on the bottom of your screen there.
Yes, I did, but don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you need to switch.
You see it now?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I get another screen. Okay. I have a score in Lighthouse now from.
Oh, so you're talking about, okay, that isn't your SEO score. Okay, if you're talking about Lighthouse, that is just Google's page speed performance, right? It's not really an SEO score.
It's more. It's the presentation. I have 95, 100, 85, and 100 for the SEO.
Mm-hmm.
But when I use the stacks, also in other SEO test programs, my SEO drops, but my page is much nicer. What's better,
Sure.
a nice page or a good SEO?
So there's a lot of one-offs here. I don't know what stacks you're using, and it is cost benefit. Does that new stack have images? Is the images large? I mean, there's so many things we could probably spend hours talking about that. And also every time you run those tests, they kind of have different scores almost every time. So if you run a test today, it'll be different. Your scores will be different than if the same exact site, even if you didn't change a thing, a week from now, right? Because Google's always changing their stuff, and it depends on network. It depends on all kinds of different things, right? So if you have a score, you said you have a score of 95 and 85 and 90s. I mean, that is a really, really great score. You should be very happy with that score. And I understand you should always keep trying to improve. But I think those scores are extremely acceptable. I think almost anyone here would be happy to have 95s.
I know, but when I use, for instance, an impact stack, then the score drops. What's better?
Okay, well, again, so if you're using impact, it has, you have images in impact, so you have to think about the size of that. Yes, that does add additional JavaScript to the page. I mean, so it is adding some additional weight to your page, but that if you want that aesthetic and that look, then it could be worth it, right? I mean, it's all a balancing act on what you want, right? We can't just have all, if you just have a blank black and white page with text, maybe that'll score a 100, but is that really going to get you website visitors, right? So,
Williams.
Anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Donna had another question. I think we cut her off earlier, but I think she left. So just curious, guys, how did you like this? Do you think if I were to do this like once a month on the live streams, do you think this would be a great time and it would be good?
I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I like it.
Excellent. I love having more people. Like I said, if you like this, well, this is what I do every Friday. I've done this every Friday for 7 years. Is this exact thing. And we talk about, and we go for a long time. So, but you can drop in and out all you want. I know a lot of people that are here today are regulars there. So it's a lot of fun. And unfortunately, we have to deal with Scott, you know, but, you know, hey, you know, you got to deal with some things sometimes, you know.
Two of them now.
Which Scott?
Yeah. Donna, earlier, I think you had a follow-up question.
No, I didn't. I was all answered, but I just want to say thank the pandemic because usually I don't get to work from home.
Oh.
I can't log on. You know, we don't have webcams. I can only log on and watch anonymously when you do the other things. So that's
okay. Cool.
A little silver lining to it, huh?
I'm trying to be happy because I've wanted to work from home for a lot. You know, it sucks feeling like you're, you know, under house arrest, but you know, it beats the hour and a half commute each day. So
yeah, there you go.
Looking on the bright side.
There you go.
Yeah, I've worked from home for 10 years now, and whenever I have to like do a commute or go somewhere during commute hours, I'm like, how do people do this every day? Oh my God. I am so lucky. You know, sometimes you know I complain about work from home sometimes because I'm home, and that's feels like sometimes I never leave my house. So this whole quarantine was like nothing for me. Like it's just life. Like it's my past 10 years. But yeah, it's definitely is a perspective in terms of, you know, just being different. I enjoy it. I love it, and I love having you all here today. I appreciate it. So. I think we'll call it. I went an extra 30 minutes today. I hope you guys were okay with that, and I enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you again. Well, hopefully we'll see you. Maybe if you want to join in on Friday, it is at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, which is 20 minutes from right now, but on Friday. And then if not, I'll see you. Well, you'll see me on the live stream next week, and hopefully we'll see you over on Weaver Space, and we'll chit chat over there and continue helping. And I appreciate everyone coming today. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Joe.
Von Egbert, you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Oh, I just wanted to go. Is the mic
Oh,
on?
okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice.
Well, be well, everybody.
What'd you say, Scott?
I said, how's the burn?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I was like, I have to wear a shirt today because I'm on the Hangout, right? I'm on this live stream. But man, on Sunday, I was building a little workstation outside, like a little portable workbench. And it was kind of overcast. I'm like, you know, but it was still kind of warm. I'm like, I'm just going to wear no shirt. You know, and man, I got a reminder that I am a white boy that should not be out in the sun because my back is completely toast. And it hurts to have a shirt on right now, but hey.
Redhead should take care of the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Joe, I like
well,
this.
take care, everybody.
Joe, I like.
Take care.
Joe, I like
Yes.
this very much. It's was much easier to follow than the Friday Hangouts because it's.
Oh, okay, cool.
I hope you do it
Thank
again.
you, yeah. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.